Life, live financial news talk radio. Welcome to this beautiful Saturday. A lot to talk with you about today. Maybe we could do a mind shift, change your thinking, add some ideas that help you with your money, help you with life, help you with retirement. If you're new to the show, I am your host, Gregory Ricks. Welcome to the show. 3 hours of winning at life information. We're going to have Dwayne Stein with us here on the first hour. Hour 2 and 3, you have me. A lot of topics, a lot of information. You can watch us streaming over on Facebook Live, the Winning at Life page. You can catch us on our YouTube channel. You can listen to audio on iHeartRadio across the country. We're streaming their sound, so we got video going. Or listen to it on your radio. So awesome to be here. Beautiful day, beautiful week. Happy Army Day. And then somebody just whispered in my ear that big game for LSU, World Series. Isn't this the 20th time I think they've been in the World Series? More than any other college baseball program. So pretty cool things. We'll see how that goes. It's a tough tournament over there in Omaha. I went to Omaha a couple years ago, not for the World Series, for a business conference. I don't think that's the easiest place to get to and to get around. That was just my take at that time. I can't imagine if some giant event was going on like the World Series or Buffett's conference or anything, how difficult that would be to maneuver over there. But a beautiful area at that as well. I don't crave to ever go to baseball over there, but those that are really into it, it is heck of an experience that's going on there. So let's welcome Dwayne Stein to Winning at Life. Hey, Dwayne, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Great to be with you. Thank you, Gregory, for your service, of course, and happy Father's Day as well to you.
Well, happy Father's Day to you as well, dude. You're a great dad. You're an example of a great dad.
Thank you. I have been to Omaha for the College World Series. You are right. There is no easy way to get there. I was there for 2009 when they beat Texas, LSU, and one heck of an experience. But it is a meat and potatoes place. You're not going to get be tough to find jambalaya. And now they do have, during the week, they love their LSU folks, that's for sure. But it is a meat and potatoes kind of place. But, we shall see how they do this year. And excited. Tonight at 7, I'll be in front of it. Chasing down a couple giggles as well, so that should be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. The last World Series that they won was 2 years ago. There was a lot of drama in that. Those crazy games, and the coach kind of stated not to be on a baseball talk, but I know the head coach said we'd like to at least try it one time in the winner's bracket. Yeah, instead of the losers brackets, and you have to use a lot of pitchers in the losers bracket to survive that. Hey, even as we've seen on a good weekend, they can go through a bunch of pitchers. It just depends on how they're throwing and how the batters are hitting. Yes, sir. I think it's a tough thing to work through. I think that's tough. Not that football's easy, but baseball seems pretty difficult.
It's a crazy game. Well. It's a crazy game.
So mortgage rates this week, we got some more turmoil because of what's going on in the Middle East. Oil prices dropped, so the market was off a little bit for the week. I did have a question asked to me yesterday. My take is, do we factor oil prices into money management. And my short answer was not really. But if
Hmm.
oil's being affected, yeah, the market's probably being affected till it sees what the impact is, because there's something bigger impacting oil. Well, then it's probably impacting the market. But we don't make decisions. Oh, oil's at this price. Okay, we got to do this instead. No, we're not. It's kind of two separate things. But I do think oil's going to be impacted somewhat. I don't know how far this goes before Iran goes back to the table or leadership of that country changes. But what we do know is they cannot have a nuke, because we know
No.
what they would do with it.
Yeah.
There's one of two.
And
There's probably two countries they would like to hit with it.
yeah.
One
And
being
we're
Israel,
on
the
that
other
list.
would be
It's
U.S.
us. Yeah. It's
And
us.
it's a short list, but I know who's
Yeah.
first, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
certain of who's second
Yeah.
on that list. So we have a vested interest in Israel stopping their capability, which would lead to more peace in the region if you don't have somebody stirring the pot.
Yeah.
So it in turn, was there an impact on interest rates this week that correlates
Absolutely.
to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And Gregory, we got good news on Wednesday with the CPI came out, and then the PPI on Thursday. So, a couple months in a row, and you and I understand too. In our business of handling people's, for me, looking at, hey, how do we make decisions? It's all about trends, and what we're seeing with inflation is it's trending in the right direction. And then lo and behold, this happens on Friday, and everything, just flipped on its head. Immediately. And, when you look at this, regardless of a barrel of oil and all that, there's a lot of concern. And, we saw what the stock market did. It took a little hit, but eventually, will this have an impact on rates? And, Gregory, we've talked about this a lot, and we don't want war. And God help, I hope we don't get dragged into this thing. But world strife normally is a good thing for mortgage rates. And we don't want war. We're not out there. But what I mean by that is when you see what happened to the stock market yesterday with this, people get nervous. So they go to the safety of cash, right? Or treasuries, right? And mortgage-backed securities, all those things. So that's why usually world strife will have an immediate, not an immediate, but will eventually have an impact, and you'll see some relief. Now, hopefully they get to the table, get this stuff resolved, so we not dragged into this thing. But that is what we're seeing, and yeah, it just in my world, it's another thing, and why I'm already bald headed. But now I don't even have certain areas where hair is not even growing that used to grow that I had to shave anymore, because in this environment we're in, my gosh, for the last 2 years it's been crazy. And like I said, just when we saw Wednesday another month of good inflation reports, the trends over 3 months are showing way down when it comes to the headline and the core numbers. And then we get this yesterday, and it just turns everything upside down. And then what happens? It's if you stir that pond up, right? It could be clear water, but if you put your feet in the sand, you got to wait for everything to settle again. And I think that's where we're at now, Gregory. And we got to just hold on and see what's going to happen with this stuff now.
So where are we at on 30-year rates?
30-year is at 6.89, and last week it was at 6.97. And, that's where yesterday there was a little bit of a comeback. It was even a little bit lower than that because, like we said, we lost some traction. So it was trending in a good space. All the information we were getting was coming in, was positive. And then we had yesterday, which kind of turned us up. But for the week, obviously, look, we're still down 10 basis points. And as we talk about in the show, the difference between 6.97 and 6.89, I don't think anybody listening is like, hey, all right, let's go jump on this. I've never had somebody lose a loan over, 10 basis points, 0.1%. But it's a mindset and it's a confidence thing. So there's a lot of stuff going on, with the geopolitical environment. Now you throw this in, and when you start talking about nuclear stuff and people who really just have no desire for folks to live in the hatred, it's a little scary. So we got to see. And I think that oil impact will have a big deal. And then what is that going to mean, Gregory, with inflation, right? If all of a sudden they hit some of these places where they knock out oil, they got to start shutting down these seas and these places bringing oil over, which is why, again, it's so important for us to be energy independent. But if they start shutting these things down and oil goes up to $90, $100, then, of course, that's going to have – we're going to go right back where we're finally at 4-year lows on gas prices. Well, everything's going to go back up. Well, of course, that starts to have an effect on people's pocketbook.
Here's where the impact of oil is. Iran's oil fields may well be hit, which cripples them for money. And, I think during President Trump's first term that we were really limiting their capability of that. So oil will adjust to absorb that. That's not like Saudi Arabia fields go down or anything. And we're not aloof to this happening, and we knew this day was going to come, just hope it wouldn't. Israel has more understanding of what's going on there and the capability, and they've known for a few years they're going to have to do this, so they're doing it now. We're helping defend their skies, and I think Israel's going to handle this. It's not going to spread. This is Winning at Life. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more of Dwayne Stein.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gumbo Nation, you did it again. Thank you. 10 plus years on air, Mortgage Gumbo Dadcam has grown because of your trust in me as your local preferred lender with all your home loan needs. My recent recognition as a national top lender is awesome, but being your local lender is what matters to me and why I'm so thankful. I promise to continue to earn your trust in making your needs my priority. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardlaw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Welcome back to Winning at Life. I have the great Dwayne Stein on with us this hour, talking kind of all things with a mortgage focus today. So when we went to break, we were just kind of talking about how impact of what's going on in the Middle East, and there is some impact, but to worry that something's going to just get really giant, really involved, and I just think they want this under control and controlled, and the best at it is who's handling it, and that's Israel. It's amazing about the inside information and inside track they have as a handle on this, and that's because they've known for a long time. You go back to, you remember months back about the deal of the pagers exploding over there? Now tell me, that had to be some inside stuff to figure out how to do that and pull that off effectively. So,
and years in the making, right? I mean, to be able to make that happen, then sell the, you know what I'm saying, the beepers and the pager. I mean, that was, I mean, just amazing. I mean, it really.
And then, and most recent story I heard on this that took a lot of inside information is they got some 30 members of leadership and military and all together at a meeting that they orchestrated and kept them there until the missile arrived.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of have confidence in this. Kind of the bigger question is, how are tariffs going to play out and get a reset to fairness? And I believe there needs to be a fairness. I believe tariffs should have been done years ago. So when Trump pressed this forward, it was like, finally, somebody's doing this to create balance instead of let us get abused and our industries completely taken away. And I believe this, and this was even, my thoughts were on this even before Trump's first term, that we're being decimated and have been, and that needed to be prevented. We should have been protectionist of our industries. Now we have to reset that because, we get into a bind. We can't get what we need. COVID was one of the biggest examples of that, of how short we are on that, and major industry still has to stay here. We're about to lose the steel industry. Automakers, let me see, when you go back and look at the history of World War II, who really supplied the war machine? It was all the car manufacturers, for the most part, shifted to producing war equipment. And created the innovation there. So we have to keep industry focused here and working. And, when we look at deficits and such of where we are, which is unbelievable at the country's debt, but imagine if we kept all that money here, because money gets taxed repeatedly, but when it leaves the country, is it being taxed here anymore? No.
Right.
So we do need that to come back here, and I believe that's that's the path that we're on. And we need to stay on this route of fixing things for decades, not just for one presidential term. Now, what you do on a daily that's kind of my thought, and I don't have worry. The markets were kind of we had as much as a 20% downturn in the Nasdaq, and the S&P and Dow was a little more than 10. What those are buying opportunities, not panic.
Correct.
Opportunities.
Yeah.
And
I think, Gregory, I think, too, we're seeing it with you were talking about with the tariffs and stuff. When you look at jobs reports, and I talk about this on my show when they come out every month, for years, all the jobs were government jobs. Now we're seeing more private sector. And
I always thought that was a bad thing, Dwayne. It's like,
Absolutely.
Oh my God, how is it that's the number 2 or number 1 employer each month? That's horrid.
That's right. So now seeing that, and that's exciting because as people in private jobs start to hire, that means, hey, let's bring that industry back, or more importantly, keeping it here. And I think that's what's important, and I think we'll continue to see that as we move forward. So I much more love seeing private sector jobs that are outside of leisure and hospitality, right? Like, let's see these companies that are doers, movers, and shakers hiring our awesome people as they're graduating and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just a chain of events that helps everything, because those are jobs here in the country, which means businesses are growing. They're needing people. People get on payroll. They pay taxes. They're starting a 401k at the job, which means money that can flow into the market as well, and support that. And then, of course, they say, okay, I can buy a house now.
That's right. That's right.
And they don't get hung up on interest rate, where people have to adjust to what they're hung up on is I need a house. Yeah. And to make that happen, and that's what you deal in every day, is early in life. If a senior's buying a house, it might not be their biggest investment. But for somebody in their 30s and 40s buying a house, it's probably their biggest investment at that point. For some people, it's for their entire life. Your thought on that?
Yeah, and that's why it's so important, Gregory, to make sure that we get it right for our first-time home buyers. When you are in your 20s, 30s, early 40s, and you're buying that first home, we can't get that wrong. And that is doing more than just taking a online application and trying to paint everybody with the same brush. It's so much more than that. It's discussing and having a conversation on what are your needs. And we understand that life happens, but where we're at now, and then, hey, what is your 5-year plan? Is there family? Is there, are we going to be growing a family? Let's have those conversations so we can make sure that we're doing the right things. And my whole philosophy is what you can afford and what you're willing to pay. I understand at Mortgage Gumbo that importance. I'm not going, hey, I could absolutely strap you, make you house poor, and get you in a $350,000 house, right? Let's look at what's going to work for you. What are your goals? It's so much more than just, hey, go online, fill this out, and, we're going to go, okay, hey, let's throw you in the bucket with everybody else. Everybody's got a different set of needs, and so you're spot on there. And I think what we're seeing now is people are starting to understand that. But for a first-time home buyer, I take it personal, and I'm passionate about it because we've got to get it right. Because if we don't, that could be something where, like you're saying, Greg, hey, maybe now I'm stuck in a house that I don't want to be in longer than I have to be. So we want that house. We want to show you how to get that house working for you sooner rather than later, instead of you just getting in a home and your decisions you're having to make are beef or chicken ramen noodles, right? That's not cool. We don't want that. We don't want you house poor by any means. So it's making sure the programs are right. And so many people, Gregory, and I get it, people ask, to call, hey, what are your rates on a phone call? and I have to explain rate's the easiest part. We're going to get you the best rate that you qualify for. It's let's find out what program you qualify for. Let's find out the best way to get you in this home for as cheap as possible. Like you said, Gregory, especially those first-time home buyers. If somebody's selling their house and they just made $100,000 because they bought years ago and their house is done it, that's a whole different ballgame when they're taking that money, right, and rolling it into the new house. That's a whole different conversation. But for a first-time home buyer who's, maybe can't go to Bank of Mom and Dad, we've got to make sure that we are putting together a program and a package for them that makes sense, that doesn't leave them with no reserves, right? You can't call the landlord when your AC goes out and go, hey, I'm hot. Come fix this, right?
Yeah.
It's, that's a $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 bill that you've got to pay. Well, I don't want to drain all your funds for that. We need to save for that rainy day. So it's making sure we're doing the right thing for the right time with the right program and doing that. And I think those are the things, like you said, we're making sure those first-time home buyers, we're getting that right for them.
A question or thought here, and we can talk about this when we come back because it might be a little bit longer answer to it, but a question I always kind of think is how long are you planning to be in that property? And I think that's really important from that standpoint because otherwise, it's like buying a car. How long are you going to be into that car? You need to be into it a few years if you're financing because you're going to be upside down. Not that you're going to be upside down in a house, but you could be behind on some expenses. So I want to get your thought on how those conversations go when somebody's starting in this process. You hear the music. We're going to take a short break. This is Winning at Life on iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. If you've got a financial situation, give you a chance to call Dwayne when we come back on the other side. Be right back.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me with some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, or you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1978. Cancer Crusaders Incorporated is a non-profit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $5 million for the local cancer research centers, LSU Stanley S. Scott Cancer Center and Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. Visit us at cancercrusadersla.org.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Riggs.
Fox News, I'm Daria Albinger. Air raid sirens sound in Israel as Iran launches retaliatory strikes on the Jewish state. Texas Congressman Pat Fallon speaking to Fox News.
In the last year of the Trump administration, 45 in 2020, Iran only made $7.9 billion on their oil sales. The last year of the Biden administration, it was between 60 and 70 billion. You can fund a lot more mayhem, murder, and mischief with an extra $50 billion.
Iran is accusing Israel of violating the UN Charter, says it will continue to defend itself. A shelter in place in Brooklyn, Minnesota, as police look for a suspect accused of fatally shooting a state lawmaker and her spouse in their home and wounding another lawmaker and his spouse at their home. America's listening to Fox News.
This is it. This is the financial show to listen to, Winning at Life. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. As a lot of you know, we've been doing this for more than 15 years. Big anniversary show was last week, and it was such a blast to have that experience and look back on something that I knew I'd be doing this show for a long time, but had no idea that it would be for this long. And I'm not predicting, but hopefully we get to keep doing this for a long time. And Dwayne Stein is with us, mortgage.com fame. And, you've been doing your radio show a long time now as well, and something you didn't imagine probably either.
No. And, I'm thankful, hey, you celebrating the 15 years is amazing. And, you introduced me and saw me as an opportunity to join your Total Wealth Authority. And then lo and behold, you're like, hey, opportunity presented. You said, man, I think you might be okay at this. And, a decade later, Mortgage Gumbo Dad Cam's been around, and then just being part of your show now for over a dozen years is amazing. Just how quickly time flies, and it's an amazing feat for sure, because the effort and what goes into doing these shows. It's not just plug and play. We don't just show up and go, all right, let's wing it and see what happens, right? So and because we are on air. We can get checked a little bit more, right? So, the information you put out has to be accurate. It's got to be correct. And, always making sure that the listener is the top priority, to making sure that they get the facts and the best information out there for sure.
Yeah, your show's a great resource.
Thank
you.
You.
When somebody's looking to buy a house, so tell me about the discussions when people are looking. Of course, they're typically picking up a 30-year mortgage, so that is a long-term view, but that doesn't mean they're thinking about keeping it for the long term. Tell me about those conversations.
Yeah, I think for most people, over 30 years, I've seen lots of market shifts, and outside of how long in that property, and I can remember when we do your events and have done your events in the past, every time I got the opportunity to speak, the first question I always ask is, by a show of hands, how many people are in their forever home? And 95% of the audience, most of the time, regardless of age, had no idea. They couldn't raise their home because they weren't sure. So making sure that you're discussing what needs are is important, because in this environment, I think, when you're looking at how long are you going to be in that property, to me, Gregory, and Winning at Life Nation, I look at it as, more importantly, how long are we going to have this loan? Because there's no loans that's being done over the last 2.5 years that anybody's signing up to say, I can't wait to pay this 7.5 or whatever the number is for the next 30 years, right? So that is what is so important right now, and how we have to be able to make adjustments and look at it, because how we lend today is so much different than what we did 2.5 to 5 years ago. Heck, it's different than what it was 6 months ago. And so making sure that when we have someone who is saying, all right, I'm ready to get into this game, this home buying game, making sure that you uncover everything and explaining to them the whys, right? Oh, what are your rates? Well, let's get into the whys. And, hey, how long are you going to be in that property is fine. In other words, hey, are you getting relocated down here? Did you sign a 5-year contract? That's one factor. But let's look at how long do we expect with this program and understand, because, Gregory, I've yet to meet the person when rates are high that says they don't want lower rates, and when rates are low, doesn't say they want even lower. People don't call me every day and go, hey, can you give me the highest rate possible, right? Because that person's living on Cuckoo Island with the person who says, hey, I want to pay more taxes, right? We don't know those people. They don't exist. So what we've got to protect against is people chasing a number on a piece of paper. And because people want to hear a low number, at what cost? So that's the biggest part right now of making sure when you're explaining to people discount points and the difference between a discount point and a rate buy down. These are things I've been doing for 20-something years that have become popular now, but why we're not looking to chase things, because we want to make sure once you get in that house, and Gregory, this is something I've learned from you that I implement, because you've said this so many times, return of your money sometimes is more important than return on your money. How do I get my money back? And when I'm working with a client and we're making an offer, hey, how do we get our money back if we need to, right? Whether it don't appraise, stuff like that. But we want to make sure also is we don't want to manufacture a number on a piece of paper because somebody feels good and they could say, hey, I got 5.99, but what is the cost when you don't get that back? So the return of is just as important as return on. And the return on is going to come with the being in a home and the wealth that home builds. So it's just critical to make sure Winning at Life Nation is when you're talking to someone, and if we're having a conversation, look, we get rates important, but what's going to be more important is how long do we have, what is the plan, what is the game plan so we can adjust accordingly for you.
You know, bringing up that when are you getting your money back? And that's another way we talk about that now is risk capacity. Do you have the capacity to absorb this if the money doesn't come back? You know, where people, like with retirement funds, take some risk, and if they lose some money, how's it impacting their income ability over their projected life? So if they do a bad deal on a house and then have to get out of it and they come out upside down, you know, what's their capacity to absorb that? How bad a shape are they going to be in coming out of it? So that's another twist on thinking when you're making financial decisions, and that's one reason it was important to ask you that question, like how long are you going to be in that house? And you pointed out the more important question is how long are you going to have this mortgage, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, yeah, because, and that's why, you know, we're not going to go, hey, let's go throw on a 15-year mortgage right now. Maybe that'll make sense when it's more permanent financing and when the rates come down. But right now, hey, let's keep you in this house for as cheap as possible to let the home do its work, right? Let it grow at its 3, 4, 5% and take advantage of it when we go to do more permanent financing down the road when the rates go down.
Yeah, really good stuff. So what shifts have you seen in the marketplace lately?
I could tell you volume is up. I think when you look at it, application volume from a purchase side, Gregory's up 20% year over year. Same rates as what they were last year at this time, yet application volume for purchases is up and refinances as well. And the refinances, it's simple. People are trying to hold on, right? And, so a lot of those is us looking at, second mortgages and different things like that. But from a purchase standpoint, the volume has picked up. And what I try to explain to my clients is understanding, so what does that mean, purchase volume picked up? What that means is it's not Dwayne going to buy a house that Gregory's selling, and it's me versus you now. It is now Dwayne, Joe, Linda, and Sue going to buy that house that Gregory's selling. And the houses that are priced right, that are marketed the right way, that are nice houses. Look, there's a lot of lipstick on pigs out there right now called houses. But when it is a quality house, now what that means, and the shift is, it's you have competition. So the biggest thing is making sure that you've got a realtor that knows what the market is. Now's not the time to give Aunt Betty or Cousin Joe, who's never been in this industry or, does one transaction a year. Now's not the time to listen to them tell you how tough the market is. Now it's time to make sure that you are going in, making a nice, strong offer.
That's a great
point. The competition has improved.
Is utilize people that know what's going on in the marketplace and have some life experience in it. We've got Blair on the Winning at Life hotline. We're going to jump to Blair when we come back from the break. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll take a short break and have more of Dwayne Stein.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I started my retirement about 5 years ago, and I truly am late in life.
Would I be better to just withdraw the money out of my GSP and pay that mortgage off?
My problem is I have champagne taste in a beer sour. What is a balloon note?
Is that cutting it too close?
So will I still be eligible for Medicare?
Is there anything better I can do with the money I transferred into the Roth from my 401k? My goal is to retire at age 60. I'm 54 right now.
Hey, I have a 9-year-old son, and he's got probably $2,500 in. Is there anything we can invest it in?
I just started a 401k a little late in life.
Then I should be like 10%.
Now, how far in advance do you recommend that someone goes to visit the Social Security office?
I want some money in a casino playing poker.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com. NewOrleans.MosquitoJoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Do you like having your money follow where momentum is? Remember, everything cycles in the markets there, and you've got to have proper asset classes. And how about a tactical approach that follows momentum? And if there's a black swan effect, like maybe a pandemic, and not have to suffer all of that downside move. That might be why you should take a look at the Invest 50-50 philosophy. Why I think, always felt, they're doing it wrong out there. There has to be a better way to help people grow their money
and have it positioned to take income from without it being crushed when the markets go down.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
This is the show, Winning at Life, the financial show on Saturdays from 10 to 1. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. I have Dwayne Stein with us this hour, but we're going to jump over to the Winning at Life hotline. We have Blair from Carrier, Mississippi. Welcome to Winning at Life. How can Dwayne and I help you today?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's great.
So I bought a house about 2 years ago. It was the perfect house, we thought, remodeled, totally remodeled and everything. We get in it. Come to find out it needed some leveling. Okay. Did that. Of course, it cracked the sheetrock and stuff. Easy stuff for me to fix. But as I got into the walls and everything, it had termite damage. The inspectors didn't find it or nothing, so now I'm in the process of remodeling this whole house. I'm probably about $35,000 here and there out of pocket. At some point, do I get this thing reappraised to maybe, I forgot what it is, at what percentage you have to be in to the good for that PMI to come off and stuff?
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you'll definitely want that, obviously. Now, I think you would second this and even understand. So you did have an inspection done, Blair, before you bought the property?
I did. I had an inspection done, and of course, after the fact, small town area, you know, I tried to get an attorney to see what I can do, but they knew the homeowner, previous homeowner, so I ended up in Covington with a lawyer. And basically, he told me, he's like, do you want to spend $30,000 to get $20,000? And how long is it going to take?
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I'm eating it then, huh? He's like, yeah, pretty much.
Well, and one of the things, and that's unfortunate, but this is exactly why I tell our clients to, Blair, and you would second this, and even unfortunately for you, this is why I tell folks all the time, while we don't require an inspection, we always recommend it. Now, sounds like Blair unfortunately got someone who, you know, inside job, whatever it is. So, but let's kind of get back to where you're at. The number for PMI to fall off is 80% in a normal situation, right? So now for you, you're investing all this money back into it. I think you're understanding this is the house that you plan on being in, as we were kind of talking about earlier, right? This is the house you plan on being in.
Yeah, this is the last house.
That's right. As we sit here today, based on life events, this is the house, and this is where the forever home. That's why you're making this investment. One of the things, just kind of want to help you understand as well, and there's emotion now in this, right? You're fixing this. There's sweat. There's tears. You're spending your weekends drilling, fixing things while you're listening to Greg Ricks going, this is amazing, right? And and that's awesome. But I want you to kind of be forewarned as well, and this is for all listeners. Look, fresh paint, new counters doesn't necessarily add value, right? I don't want you to be caught off guard, Blair, when you look to and look, we can talk personally outside if you've got some questions a little bit more in detail, but keep that in mind. Square footage is what adds, and you may be doing that while you're like, hey, I'm all in now, you know.
Yeah.
But that's
I
but
done laid concrete outside and whatnot, and about to lay concrete for a shed and patio and whatnot.
Yeah, and look, it's unfortunate. That stinks. Hey, luckily, you have the means to be able to do this, but these are, like Gregory was talking about, these are unexpected events, right? So at some point, the return of that money is going to become important. So once these repairs are done, then hey, we need to look at and go, all right, hey, what do we think the value is going to be? How do we help Blair recoup whatever savings, wherever that money had to come from, unless you figured out how to grow money trees, my brother, which you can share with us right now, right? Then what we've got to figure out is how do we get Blair his money back? And that's what we've got to look at from that standpoint, because that's the part we were talking about earlier, the return of my money. So but 80% is that number when you're looking at where mortgage insurance normally. Now, could we refinance you today and you be at 90% and not have mortgage insurance? Absolutely, you can. And without getting into a whole bunch of detail, that's something for another time. But to answer your question, 80% is the PMI number. But what we got to look at for you, my man, is trying to figure out how can we recoup and get you your funds back so we could get some of those zeros back in the bank, or that way you can get back to earning money on that on your own funds.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, that helps out. Yeah.
Hey, good luck,
hopefully
man.
that interest rate will come down a little bit more, and it'll work out right when I'm finished.
That's right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Best of luck to you. Sorry you had to go through that, bro. That's unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, guys, I appreciate it, man.
Yep, you got it.
Dwayne, so what if he had it to do over again? What's the one glaring thing that he should have done that he didn't do?
I don't think it doesn't sound like. I think from his position, it just sounds like he got a bad inspector or somebody that inspected that house that was maybe in on because if the attorney said, hey, he had a lawsuit, but it was just going to cost him money, maybe that inspector that he got left some things off because, Gregory, at the end of the day, and this is, when we're doing these inspections, what I would probably say to answer your question more directly is if we're about to spend a couple $100,000 on a house, let's not stop at, we get the inspection done. Let's not stop at, hey, I don't want to get the plumbing inspection. Let's not stop at getting a termite inspection as well. Even though it's not required, let's make sure. And he may have. It sounds like maybe he did and somebody missed it, which, that would be a cause for alarm. But to those listening, when you're about to invest in a house and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, you don't want to try to save $50 or $100 because you got to get a termite inspection. Because now look what it's costing us. He opened up these walls, and lo and behold, we've got, and the only way to get rid of these, you got to break it down, right? And then treat it and then build it back up. But that at the same time, guess what? That costs you money.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit deeper. Being you should get a home inspection because it's trying to find out what is it I don't see. But I also want to drill down. I have belief that, we should probably get a company that's in the termite fighting business to look at it. Doesn't mean they'll catch it either because they're all generally looking for signs of where you might see some termite damage or see the termite trail coming up on the side of the basement or some wood damage that maybe you wouldn't spot that they spot. But if it's been well hidden and cleaned up and that damage is inside the wall, even though it might not be active, that's a problem you got to deal with later. But it's also when you have different equipment added on to the house such, you might want to get somebody electrical involved to make sure this stuff's right. If it looks like a bunch of do-it-yourself wiring, you might want to get a second opinion. And also the AC is one of your bigger investments that will break. They have a lifespan pretty much of 10 years, I think is how those things work. That's kind of what I understand, but we want to get more out of it. And you're buying a house with something that's nearly 10 years old or more, you're kind of at the end of that lifespan. So is that thing going to be problematic on there? And I just changed out systems on a property this past year. Well, we had one of those electrical surges that created some other problems, but it was time to redo those systems so we would have better efficiency. Once again, not for free, costs money, but that's something I knew going in that I was going to have to do in a few years when I bought the property.
And what I would say when you're having the home inspected is look for those the inspectors, you're going to get a 50-page report. It's going to intimidate you, right? It's going to be written up, electrical concerns on outlet by water. Well, okay, we need to add a GFI to the bathroom where the wife's going to blow dry her hair, right? Maybe it's outdated. But the big items are that you want to be looking at are air condition, right? Roof. Those are big things, big ticket items that are not cheap if it comes on you, and it could be now. Poor Blair here gets in and there's termite damage. That's a game changer, right? So, didn't see that coming. So now $30,000, $35,000 you're hearing, that's a tremendous amount. Thankfully for Blair, he has the ability to do that, right? But like you're saying, as a first-time home buyer who's maybe getting into a house and, using their funds and doesn't have $30,000, we want to make sure that when we're looking at that inspection report, we're being thorough. But let's look at big-ticket items, right? An outlet not working, okay, can we fix that? Or is it much larger, right? Is it a whole side of a kitchen, Gregory, where the outlets aren't working, right? Versus this needs to be switched out or this plug does not work, because that happens. So it's so important to do your due diligence beforehand. You owe nobody anything until you own that home, because once you buy it, when you sit down at that table, that attorney is going to tell you several times, you are buying this property as is. As is. So if there's a timer on poop the brake and it happens while you're moving in, there's no calling the seller going, hey, you got me, right? This didn't work, or this, the AC's not working now. It's as is, so you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, a little bit of expense can save you tens of thousands on the back end. How do they reach you, Dwayne?
Very simple. You can hang out at Gregory's website or just go to mortgagegumbo.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great show today with you. Appreciate all you do for us. Happy Father's Day to you and everyone else. This is Winning at Life. We'll be back in a few minutes.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
Fox News, Iran's fired hundreds of ballistic missiles on the Jewish state into the early morning hours as it retaliates for Israel's initial attack. Fox's Alex Hogan says it's reduced homes to rubble, left at least 3 dead.
We're getting new word of Israeli strikes in Iran, strikes that have been taking place over the last couple hours to target some of Iran's military bases, specifically areas that are making missiles. And here in Israel, people have been given the all clear by Home Security Command to be able to go out a little bit further away from their shelters after a night where they really could not stay away from their shelters. They had to run repeatedly to their bomb shelters or a stairwell, some safe space, and some even slept there with Iran's multiple waves of attacks. The first missile barrage started at 9 p.m. here in Tel Aviv. Sirens then waking people up again several hours later, and then again at 5 a.m. Explosions also rocking Jerusalem, projectiles lighting up the sky with Israel's defense systems aiming to intercept them as people repeatedly again ran to their shelters.
The IDF says it killed 9 Iranian scientists. The U.S. Army is 250 years old today and will be honored with a military parade. Fox's Mark Meredith in D.C.
The Army is ready to celebrate its 250th in style. We're going to see generations of military equipment, thousands of troops and military bands all on the streets of D.C. today. The parade is going to be taking place throughout Constitution Avenue. There are already a ton of security barriers in place, and we are expecting dozens of helicopters, Army aircraft also to fly above. Depending on the weather, we also should see a parachute jump and a concert by Lee Greenwood, a speech from President Trump, and fireworks to cap off the night. As many as 200,000 people expected to be here in town for the event.
The last large military parade,
Welcome to Winning at Life. Hey, this is hour 2 of the show. Thanks for joining us today. Man, it's just, man, what we've done over 15 years at this show and lives impacted. And once again, want to thank Dwayne Stein for a powerful hour we just had here on Winning at Life. It's going to replay at top of the 1 o'clock hour because we're streaming over on Facebook Live, so that will reset and replay there and on our YouTube channel. Also, audio will be reduced and uploaded for you on Monday to listen more compact, and some of the segments will be shifted to podcast as well, depending on the content. If I have some great stuff, which happens, it happens. I have some great stuff sometimes, so we'll repurpose that for you as well. But we have a heck of an archive over on our YouTube channel as well, and working to make more usable content in the future, and some of the ideas we're working on is smaller bite-size bits and start producing more how-to webinars. I was having a discussion earlier this morning on some thinking I've been doing, and what I'd like to get into on some of our webinars and short videos, maybe podcasts as well, on kind of get into more how-to. And that might be for some of our educational events, thinking about how can I get into more how-to, not, which is a combination of we can help you with this stuff, but here are things that you could do on your own if you know how to do it. And here's things that we do. Now, we've got some resources. We've got some things that you won't have access to except through us. So can you do a combination of those things? Sure. My concern for you is, what do you not know? What do you not see coming? That goes to what we were talking about with Dwayne in the last segment regarding Blair's call of he's tens of thousands into his remodel, some of it not expected because what did he not know? Well, that termite damage was a big item there. It's like, what do we not know? It's like, oh, I didn't know the AC system was going to break. I didn't know the AC system was 15 years old. I didn't know there was foundation problems. I didn't know the electrical was a do-it-yourself job. You know, it's those questions of what do you not know? On investing, is it what do you not know? And of course, it's going to be what do you not see coming? Well, we knew what's happening in the Middle East is coming at some point, but we didn't know when. We don't know how big, how much of an impact. You can say, well, I had no idea this was going to happen. Well, you've kind of been aloof then to the news and stuff. And that's okay. Everybody's not omnipresent. Not everybody's listening and checking in on the news every day. Sometimes they might read some news once a month, see it on TV once a quarter. So, yeah, they're not present on all of that. So you're making decisions without some idea of the bigger picture. From an investing standpoint, some of you like to follow it every day, which can be hazardous to your mental health because it's a lot of noise. But if you do understand it and follow it like we do, we know a lot of these things are kind of routine things that come around ever so often. And we're not here to create fear. We're here actually to put you more at ease on what's going on, and this shall pass. But you should have investments designed and built to kind of move with the waves, can kind of take some of the strong winds at times. You think of it as a sailboat. You know, the wind is going to change, so you're going to have to do some tacking in your sailboat. So from investment, there should be subtle adjustments, but not all of a sudden, oh, get me out of this. Oh, I shouldn't have been in this. You should be investing knowing that these things come along every so often, like a 10% correction and a 20% correction, and you not make decisions that locks in losses. But what you can also do is when those things happen, you could be pre-positioned to take advantage and pull in some additional gains, not lock in losses. So when you are investing, and Dwayne talked about this on buying a home, and there's inherent risk, because that's kind of what he closed out with, is you're buying it as is. You find something later, they're not coming back to fix it. That would be if you're picking up, I guess, some insurance to cover that what do you not know type situation. But positioning yourself for if those things happen and be prepared for it, not make jerk reactions. So you've got to have what is your risk capacity? If you're going to lock in losses on something, do you have the capacity to that, or should you allow more time for it to come back? And that's also, do you have the capacity to spend that kind of money? Say you're wanting to make a big purchase. Do you have the capacity for that? Think about that. Do you have the capacity to make that purchase? Well, you know, sometimes I've had the conversations similar to this where somebody said, "Yeah, I'm kind of looking to buy me a motor home and travel the country when I retire." So I note that because I'm circling back to have a conversation about what are the costs involved in that. And when we peel off that $140,000 or whatever that cost may be for that motorhome, and heck, that number may be much larger, and then the costs associated with keeping that up and such, that's coming off your balance sheet for retirement. And how's that impacting your income capability? So you may not have the capacity to spend that money. If you could spend that money and know you were getting all of it back at any time in the future that you wanted, plus more, okay, that's a different discussion. But this is probably a depreciating item. You're not getting it all back. When might that happen? Will that make you whole again? If you don't get it back, you're going to have a shortfall. And I've had a few discussions like that in particular, but I've had them even involving somebody wanting to buy a big old sailboat, quite a bit of money. And we had that capacity talk on spending. But you also have to have it on risk that all of a sudden you're going to invest in something that could go wrong or make a decision because of volatility, and you lock in losses. Where if you're patient, properly diversified, and you're giving that risk time, what does history tell us? It's going to come back. But what you should see it as is more as an opportunity. And if you kind of understand these waves, you might get on a sailboat and kind of say, well, gosh, that's kind of violent. No, it happens time to time. It's kind of normal. It's okay. It's the same thing with investing, that these things happen time to time, and it's going to be okay. Where it's a problem is that you don't have the capacity for error or decisions that locks in losses. And what you've also done is you've carried too much risk. I think it's rare when somebody should carry all of their assets, say in the S&P 500, or let's define it as the stock market generally, and also having heavy concentration in particular stocks. You have to have capacity. You have to have sizable assets to go and do that you could lock in losses because you're needing to shift some money for other needs and all. Like, yeah, I'm fine. I have excess assets. I can take the hit and keep on going. There aren't many of those people out there. The average investor is not one of those people. So that's why you need diversification. You also need that in asset classes so that you're carrying balance of risk off money and risk on money. And we do have people that shift into retirement and say, you know what, my retirement would be much better if I'm pretty much risk off. I'm defining it that way, but what they're saying is, yeah, I don't want to be in the stock market. I don't want anything that's going to go down. I don't want to wake up at night worrying about it. Well, we can flat out do that for them. And sometimes we're having to coach them that way so that you have a better life and they have the capacity to have risk off assets. They're not there having to I got to get the maximum return. I got to average 7% a year or some other hypothetical number. That they're in a good situation where their range could be 3 to 5 and they've got a comfortable life and they're not going to end up in any type of jam. And guess what? They're going to have leave on money as well. Hear the music. We're going to take a few minute break. I've got something about scams and we'll come back and talk with you about on the other side of this break. This is Winning at Life. We are. Yes, we are winning at life. Be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gumbo Nation, you did it again. Thank you. 10 plus years on air, Mortgage Gumbo Dadcam has grown because of your trust in me as your local preferred lender with all your home loan needs. My recent recognition as a national top lender is awesome, but being your local lender is what matters to me and why I'm so thankful. I promise to continue to earn your trust in making your needs my priority. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardraw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
This is Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I had a question during the break on a backdoor Roth IRA strategy on the why. Use a backdoor Roth. You know, one of the problems on Roth contributions is for high income earners, they're limited. They can't contribute to a Roth because of that. But by contributing to an IRA allows them to circumvent that limitation and get into Roth. This doesn't work when they have a lot of IRA assets. They can't do that way and get around it. They're only limited to IRA contributions at that point. So it's a neat strategy for those that can keep focusing on that, because what you do is I like the strategy. I personally utilize that, and the way I'm like, I am beating the heck out of the IRS that way, because I'm building up assets that are never going to be taxed. You know what's the toughest money to accumulate? Your first 100,000. That money almost becomes a machine afterwards, because that compounding, hypothetically at 7.2% over the next 10 years, that 100,000 is going to create another 100,000. You didn't have to contribute it. You didn't have to do labor to get it. It just happened, and you wake up 10 years later, wow, that account now got 200,000 in it, and still you've been contributing and creating other money. So you create that compounding machine that in another 10 years, that 200,000 now goes to 400,000. Year 30, and maybe that's your retirement year, you've got 800,000 in that money. Oh, and by the way, if it's Roth, it's tax free. Let me see, how much were you taxed on? Whatever you contributed, and we said that first 100,000 in this scenario was the first money that was taxed. That's the only money that was actually taxed. The rest, that 700,000, grew tax free. So that's one reason to go through those procedures to get that. That's some wow money that's based on current tax codes never going to be taxed. I love that money. So hopefully that little bit of information helps there. But two parts, you kind of say, well, how does that work? Contribute to a traditional IRA. You make a non-deductible contribution to a traditional IRA. You convert to a Roth IRA soon after. You convert the funds from the traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. Bypassing income tax limit, it allows the high income earners to benefit from a Roth IRA even though their income is too high to contribute to it directly. And I suggest you get involved with that even in your 401ks. Some of the rules are changing on that, so excess contributions in the future are going to be required to go into Roth accounts, or I should say catch-up contributions. I was on WLOX yesterday afternoon for a few minutes being interviewed about scams, people being targeted for scams, and this just doesn't end. And I've had experience with it for years on clients coming to us asking for help, or family members asking for help, or us spotting it and helping clients on that. And sometimes we personally have that. I'll share a story with you. I was on at the end of our company vacation, where we took the our entire firm and their plus ones on a mini vacation. Had a great time. And on the back end of that, I get this phone call. Actually, I was at a spa, leaving the spa, and get a phone call from this person, says there was such and such collection agency and they're calling to collect a debt. And I actually start laughing, and I'm like, what? I owe somebody some money that I am supposed to have paid? And I said, "What? Tell who is this?" And where I decided not to hang up on the call, and so they're legit. They sounded very real and got into it on who the debt was for and from. And I remember why I took a trip last year. I was at that facility for a few days, and they left saying I owed some money, and I'm like, and this was probably 8-9 months ago, and I'm thinking, I've not had anybody email me, send me anything in the mail, or call me since I was there saying I owed them money of any kind. I have no recollection of that. I could have erred. Maybe I didn't take the calls because it looked like spam, or maybe I missed the emails or something like that. But being, they would have tried more than once or twice or 3 times if they're wanting their money. Think about it. So I went through it, and my wife Stacy was with me, and she knows the data behind the scenes of the money flow, who we pay, what we spend. She's an auditor by background. That's why she's chief financial officer of Gregory Ricks and Associates. So I hand it over to her. She drills down, and they have good information, but I'm still like, I don't owe anybody any money. But it turns out, while she was talking, I checked something and saw they had a data breach, so that person could know our information of that facility to kind of make it sound real. But the timing actually was just off as well. I did a search to see if I had been notified by that firm we stayed at that we owed them money. No. I told Stacy she needed to end the conversation, and she had it on speaker, and the person said, we'll check into it and get back to you. She said, well, you can't pay them. It's been turned over to us. You have to pay us, and we can give you a one-time offer to settle it here today. And Stacy started hanging up. She's, well, yeah, what's your one-time offer? And it was, say they wanted up $450 from us, and they offered $337.23, and it was good for today. So it was really neat, and we hung up and moved on, because I said, it's fraud. I'd already figured that out. She was aware, but she was just hearing them out, and it just kind of, what was impressive is how good they were at it. Regular person probably would have fell for it and said, well, look, let me give you my credit card now and settle this up. We haven't thought twice about it since, because it was a scam, but it's just how good are they? And now we have AI capability of, there's sometimes you're calling a firm to do an order, and we did an order for some meds for me the other day, and AI was handling the call, and Stacy then realized it was AI and asked for a real person, and it transferred. She said, did you realize that was AI? I said, oh, yeah, absolutely, from the get-go, because I've listened to them enough. And I said, it was very good. But the thing is, that's in early stages. That's going to get better. So now you've got AI. These fraudsters over in some other part of the world reaching out to you and copying a local number, spoofing is the right word, spoofing a local number that'd be familiar to you. So you answer it, and then you've got AI, which is getting slick at it. Sounds like real people trying to get information from you. So that's a recent experience, and they actually did give me pause for a few seconds, but I was like, it's fine because I don't owe anybody anything beyond a due date of when I'm supposed to pay something. And that's where if you're on top of your bills, somebody's doing that, you kind of know. And if they really do, they'll get back with you in a legitimate way, but they don't just, if you owe them $300, they don't just turn it over to a collection agency without reaching to you first, or sending it to you in the mail, or emailing you, or calling you from that. So this goes on. This is just one of the little things that you have to look out for and be prepared for. There's situations from investing, and we've got seniors that deal with this, and sometimes you see scams and other type of imposter scams where there may be imposter pretending to be a friend or business associate or a government agency trying to get money, or what I've seen recently, and you may have on text, you got text that you owe a toll somewhere that you drove through. And it does happen, but you would know it because there's a lot of signage that you're driving through a toll. They're going to capture your plate, and they're going to send you a bill for $19. But you're getting those being spoofed as well, and I guess people think, well, maybe I'd owe it, and just send them money. We're going to dig into this a little bit more when we come back from the break. I have to tell you, I appreciate you listening today. It's great being with you. Because of you, we are winning at life. We'll be right back.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker who has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
Your program helps to ground me with some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks & Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services. Offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks & Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, or you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app. Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1978. Cancer Crusaders Incorporated is a non-profit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $5 million for the local cancer research centers, LSU Stanley S. Scott Cancer Center and Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. Visit us at cancercrusadersla.org.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Fox News, I'm Paul Stevens. 2 Minnesota state lawmakers and their spouses all shot early today. One couple has died. The others are wounded in what's being called political violence. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
An unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost the dearest of friends.
Investigators say the suspect may have posed as law enforcement to gain entry. Nationwide No Kings protest today, criticizing the Trump White House.
I'm seeing signs that say fight oligarchy. No one is illegal on stolen land. Worst sequel ever. No Kings since 1775.
Fox's CB Cotton in Philadelphia. America's listening to Fox News.
Cause you make me wanna put his truck to the side of the road. Slide over, let me hold you close until you hit everything I'm thinking. Hop on out and let the tailgate fall. Get drunk on you with no alcohol. If you don't stop, I'm gonna. Well, girl, you make me wanna. Yeah.
Little stat here for you. In the United States, an average of over 120 people die in car accidents every day. That translates to roughly 44,000 deaths a year. Yeah, that question came up because of the India flight that had the crash. I think around 240 people died. There was one survivor. I always, at events and kind of talk about this, the most dangerous thing we do every day is we get in a car and go somewhere. And to tell the truth, it's not you that's probably going to cause the accident, it's somebody else. And lives are taken. It's crazy. Just got to be careful, and most of it, you should be doing defensive driving as well. But let's get back and talk about money. There's another little thing that goes on now on the calls, and it's not a scam, but maybe it's sometimes they're trying to probe and sell you something like insurance or Medicare coverage or accidental death coverage or death coverage. I'm not sure because I'm not listening to that, but I've known this. There's a couple times it happened where I'll take the call and say, hey, and they'll start the conversation, and then they'll ask my age. They'll say, well, what is your age? And typically I respond randomly 90-something, but the other day it happened, and I said, what is your age? I said, I'm 99. And then the response comes back, oh, I'm so sorry. You do not qualify for our program. Have a good day. And you ask, well, why'd you even answer it? Well, there's an algorithm, and everything seems to do with an algorithm. And it might be because I answered the darn phone one time from this number, so they know it'll answer. But I give, since they're calling me, I'm going to give them a reason not to call me back because I'm 99. or 98. So I'm going to see how, if it completely stops, and I hope it will. And what I hope it does is spread to these other randomized calls trying to either sell me something that I don't want, have no interest in, I didn't opt into, as well as the scammers know that I'm 99 and they won't even bother me from that standpoint. So let's talk about, and a reason for this is that I'm speaking to you about this is family members that we need to help, those that are retired or up in age. And a lot of what I do is think we need to have these family discussions and check in on people. And it used to not be a deal because our elders would not have cell phones and would not fool with them, and kind of like, I don't want to do social media. But now they've, for the most part, all have become they are adapted to it. They have social media, they have the phones, they text, they probably post too much, or like everybody in your whole life, they'll do that too, maybe. Yes, it's very, but they are connected on social media, online, texting, cell phones, calls. And we have to look out for them in a way, or help them have a heads up on what's coming and having these discussions. So seniors are more vulnerable than other generations. Seniors typically have the most money to lose. Americans in their late 60s and early 70s have a median net worth of over $400,000, more than double the median household net worth of all ages, according to the Federal Reserve. That makes them a tempting target for criminals when they spot that they're seniors. And I really wouldn't answer that I'm 64 or 61 or anything. And maybe I'll do it next time. I'll answer, I'm age 30. They say, how old are you? I'm going to say 13 to see what happens from that response. So maybe they'll say, oh, he's 13. Well, let's call him again in 40 years. Maybe the algorithm will pick up that way as well. This makes them tempting targets for criminals. Even though people in their 60s and 30s had similar amount of fraud reports, 60-year-olds lost almost 50% more money. Why? Because they had money that could be lost. Now, why are they so devastated? Americans are usually in retirement savings. Most do not have the capacity to lose money. If they lose money, it's going to hurt them. It is going to be painful for most. They cannot afford to lose money. These scams can be devastating to their emotional and financial well-being. You know, it's just kind of having a discussion with mom or dad or grandpa or aunt or uncle, those you care about, once again, regarding these scams out there. And if they're unsure about something, and this is one thing, a reason you should have a financial advisor and a financial advisory firm that you can lean on that's well staffed with people that are very versed in life's issues, is you can call us and run this bias on what's going on here. And it should be, and you should share that with your family members that you bring up topic. Just, hey, get in these situations, you're not sure if it's real or not, or worried, or wonder if it's a scam or not, or you get a bad vibe, call, let me know, run it by me. You know, be a sounding board for them. I work with older adults who are in or near retirement. One of their biggest fears is running out of money in retirement, because that means either a dramatic drop in lifestyle or re-entering the workforce. It's scary for them to end up in that situation because they don't have the capacity. There's a story of a few years back of a family that we caught on to this, and they got family member reached out to me to have a talk with them, and we had multiple conversations and we solved it, and then it restarted later again, and the family talked with us and I talked with the individual. But we had reached a point that I didn't think this was going to stop, but I talked to the family that they needed to intervene and keep an eye on it. But they didn't keep complete control of it. And then that person still had access to accounts and stuff and still ran a business. And because family was intervening and looking out for him, he did workarounds to get to the money, to give to the scammers so he could get that big prize package that he had to pay the upfront fees on. It went really ugly, and he ended up owing a lot of people significant money, and they had to hit retirement accounts in a very big way. So this is important to have that communication, and when you spot that, it can get much worse than you're expecting. So imposter scams, those are criminals who pose as government officials, businesses, relatives, or banks to steal money. This can be done through a phone call, text, or email, according to AARP. These scams are on the rise. Seniors lost over 4 times as much in 2024 through imposter scams than they lost in 2023. This is serious stuff, folks. We're going to continue this into the last segment, then I've got other stuff I'm going to cover with you in hour 3. But this is important. People don't have the capacity for scams to lose money. This is Winning at Life. We are Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I started my retirement about 5 years ago, and I truly am late in life.
Would I be better to just withdraw the money out of my TSP and pay that mortgage off?
My problem is I have champagne taste in a beer sour. What is a balloon note?
Is that cutting it too close?
So will I still be eligible for Medicare?
Is there anything better I can do with the money I transferred into the Roth from my 401k? My goal is to retire at age 60. I'm 54 right now.
Hey, I have a 9-year-old son, and he's got probably $2,500 in. Is there anything we could invest it in?
And I just started a 401k a little late in life.
Then I should be like 10%.
Now, how far in advance do you recommend that someone goes to visit the Social Security office?
I want some money in a casino playing poker.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done. All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Do you like having your money follow where momentum is? Remember, everything cycles in the markets there, and you've got to have proper asset classes. And how about a tactical approach that follows momentum? And if there's a black swan effect, like maybe a pandemic, and not have to suffer all of that downside move. That might be why you should take a look at the Invest 50-50 philosophy. Why I think, always felt, they're doing it wrong out there. There has to be a better way to help people grow their money and have it positioned to take income from without it being crushed when the markets go down.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, the boys round here drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls.
Winning at Life. Live Financial News Talk Radio. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. If you need to know more about me, GregoryRicks.com, a lot of resources there as well. When I come back on the other side of the break, I've got a few pieces I want to make you aware of that you could request and download and get some help with. But one of the things you should reach out and ask for is a copy of the book. The book, Retirement Deserves a Helpful Hand. Great pieces to give you a foundation to start how-tos win at retirement. Reach out to, you can call the office 504 832-9200 or go to GregoryRicks.com, info at GregoryRicks.com. Request a copy of the book. I'll send you a signed copy. Or you can go on Amazon and buy it. I'm fine either way. What I need for you to do is have a great resource to get a good foundation going on that. So, imposter scams, we talked about what they are, the officials, businesses, relatives, banks. They're posing as these folks. Warning signs. Scammers like to create panic and force a quick decision. Do not try to set like that person calling and posing as a debt collector. What they wanted me to set, and that's why they did the one-time offer. They even had a case number, had a number to call back to. Unbelievably slick. And there's no way I was making a decision. Oh, yeah, I'll settle up with you right now. I'm so sorry. I didn't pay it for 9 months. No, there's no way I was doing that. So once again, here's another word they try to frighten you, and they're very good at this. And there's a reporter that professionally reported on scams and stuff, got caught up in one of these, and it was, you either do this or you'll be arrested. It was that was the button that it pushed for the reporter to fall into the scam, and they even reported on it. So they want you to act now, or they want to threaten you. And if you think it's a message from your bank or loved one, hang up and reach out to the appropriate contact person to verify. Sometimes imposters calling you and wanting you to verify the account number, and I'm said, you're the one calling me. Let me verify some information with you, or give me your name and your desk number or phone number to call you back after I verify If you think it's a message from your bank or loved one, hang up and reach back out to the appropriate contact to verify the request. They're going to test you, so you test them as well. The IRS or Social Security office will never call you out of the blue. Investor scams. These are like the rise of digital currency or cryptocurrency. Scammers target older Americans through phone calls or social media messages. They promise large returns and lavish lifestyles. Instead, they take your money through fake website or companies. Sometimes they'll convince you that no intention of returning it. They even create secrecy, like you're going to make so much money on this, you can't be telling others. Don't tell your financial advisor. They'll warn you not to do this, and you'll miss this opportunity. Or, if you let this out, people will try to break into your home and steal your assets. All of a sudden, they become secretive, and we've heard of these stories. And I'm about to come into some money, but I can't explain it to you. That's warning signs right there. If they're wanting you to be secret about it, that's a warning sign. You ever heard of too good to be true? It's probably too good to be true. They guarantee massive profits or beat the stock market with little risk or time. They make empty promises like having a secret method. Chances are, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If someone suddenly begins withdrawing large sums of money or sending an unusual number of money orders, that can be a sign they're being scammed. If they're asking you to send a money order 99.999999%, it's a scam. And then financial exploitation. What are they? They're not only are criminals targeting seniors, but relatives, friends, caregivers also might be taking advantage of them. Millions of older Americans stand to lose billions of dollars through financial exploitation from people they trust. It's from the National Council on Aging. Warning signs: sudden large withdrawals in bank accounts or by person accompanying the older adult. Also look for abrupt changes in a will or financial documents, and valuable possessions or funds disappearing without explanation. You need to have communication with family members on a regular basis that's up in age. And another thing they're vulnerable to is being lonely. We're hearing more about these type of scams where somebody's befriended them online, and next thing you know, that person's having tough times, needing money, or coming to the States, or they've got some debt, they're in trouble, or they need some money to travel over far. It's scams. It can be difficult for seniors to spot scams, so here's what we can do to protect our loved ones. Educate older family members about the different types of scams. Check in on caregivers. You need to have communication, information about the caregivers. They may be stressed emotionally or financially and still assets of those they are supposed to be caring for. Monitor bank accounts and look for red flags like sudden large withdrawals. And encourage them to be open about scams that they are experiencing. Many seniors are ashamed or embarrassed of being scammed. But the first step is recouping their money or preventing further loss is awareness. And if somebody's being scam that first they need to report it, file a complaint with the state attorney general and the Better Business Bureau, and probably reach out to law enforcement. If you're not sure, call my firm. Call us. Use us as a sounding board. Have discussions. We're proactive on this at the firm because we're thorough. We get to know people. We know about their life, and we can give them a heads up. And here's one of the secrets: when we tell you to stop doing it, stop doing it. When we tell you it's a scam, it's a scam. When we tell you the money's gone, it's gone. If the return is too good, it's going to be a scam. They pay you 7% quarterly. Oh, you can get your money out every time. Well, but you never get your money out. They talk you into leaving it. There's so many scams out there, and we see it happening, and sometimes even though we've told them it is, they keep doing that. Belief of wanting to win that money or get well financially is so strong, they can't help themselves. It's really important to stay in communication. I've got a document here we're putting together, Legacy Planning Guidebook, Incapacity Emergency Checklist, and Post-Loss Planning Guide. So we've got a pretty neat little deal that's being put together here on this. And I think we're going to probably build a document regarding this topic, a guide to helping your elders avoid scams. So that's going to be something we're going to put together as well and make available to you. We need you to win with your money, but we also need you to keep your money. When I come back from the next segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about annuities there. It's a topic I wanted to cover last week's show, but we couldn't get to, and I've got a whole stack of other ideas here for you. And annuities are a great risk-off tool, and we have a great world of yield and interest rates, and fixed indexed annuities can give you upside in the marketplace with no downside exposure. Of course, on fixed annuities, they are backed up by the insurance company issuing the contract, but it's a great tool for risk-off money, where you might say, well, I like me some bonds. Well, bonds do carry risk as well, but we like to use them. And here's one of the myths. Somebody other day brought it. Well, when a person dies, the annuity money goes away. Actually, it does not. But we'll talk about that structuring on the other side of our 6-minute break. So hang around, go grab another coffee, fix a sandwich, get some lemonade, and we'll enjoy hour 3 of Winning at Life together. We'll be right back.
From the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.
State of emergency in Israel. I'm Daria Albinger, Fox News. Iran's fired hundreds of ballistic missiles on the Jewish state into the early morning hours as it retaliates for Israel's initial attack. Fox's Alex Hogan says it's reduced homes to rubble, left at least 3 dead.
We're getting new word of Israeli strikes in Iran, strikes that have been taking place over the last couple hours to target some of Iran's military bases, specifically areas that are making missiles. And here in Israel, people have been given the all clear by Home Security Command to be able to go out a little bit further away from their shelters after a night where they really could not stay away from their shelters. They had to run repeatedly to their bomb shelters or a stairwell, some safe space, and some even slept there with Iran's multiple waves of attacks. The first missile barrage started at 9 p.m. here in Tel Aviv. Sirens then waking people up again several hours later, and then again at 5 a.m. Explosions also rocking Jerusalem, projectiles lighting up the sky with Israel's defense systems aiming to intercept them as people repeatedly again ran to their shelters.
The IDF says it killed 9 Iranian scientists. The U.S. Army is 250 years old today and will be honored with a military parade. Fox's Mark Meredith in D.C.
The Army is ready to celebrate its 250th in style. We're going to see generations of military equipment, thousands of troops and military bands all on the streets of D.C. today. The parade is going to be taking place throughout Constitution Avenue. There are already a ton of security barriers in place, and we are expecting dozens of helicopters, Army aircraft also to fly above. Depending on the weather, we also should see a parachute jump and a concert by Lee Greenwood, a speech from President Trump, and fireworks to cap off the night. As many as 200,000 people expected to be here in town for the event.
The last large military parade, 1991. America's listening to Fox News.
From around the world, Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
To Washington.
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
The former House Speaker of Minnesota, Melissa Hortman, and her husband were killed in what police are calling a targeted shooting early today. That's according to Governor Tim Walz. State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were also shot but survived. The mayor of Champlin, Minnesota, Ryan Sabas, confirmed the attacks which happened in the lawmakers' homes north of Minneapolis. Investigators believe the suspect, who is at large, may have posed as law enforcement. No verdict yet in the retrial of Karen Reed.
Karen Reed's defense in closing arguments accusing investigators of bias and corruption, also emphasizing reasonable doubt.
If the Commonwealth cannot get over every one of these dozens of walls, you have to acquit Karen Reed.
Defense attorney Alan Jackson asserting there was no collision in the death of Reed's Boston police officer boyfriend, who she's accused of running over, then leaving to die in a snowstorm. The prosecution dismissed the defense's claims as distractions and emphasized testimony of first responders who recalled Reed admitting she'd hit him. The prosecutor urging the jury to focus on the facts and hold Reed accountable. Reed's first trial ended in a mistrial last year. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Seems Elon Musk isn't all that for many Republicans anymore, not after a squabble with President Trump.
The Tesla CEO's image lost some of its luster with the GOP following Musk's messy public falling out with the president last week. An AP NORC poll indicates 26% of Republicans view Musk very favorably. That's down from 38% in April. About half of Americans have an overall negative opinion of Musk, according to the poll. That's unchanged from April. Musk's public feud with the president began 4 days after the president discharged him from duties as the head of Doge. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
And I'm Daria Albinger. This is Fox News.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Welcome to Winning at Life, live financial news talk radio. I'm your host, Gregory Ricks. This is hour 3 of Winning at Life. Last hour, we kind of spent some time on avoiding scams. It really is a problem out there, and I think we're going to put together a resource piece for you as well to help with avoiding scams. I just hate to see money lost that way, because people really don't have the capacity most of the time for losing money, whether it be too much risk exposure or being taken advantage of as well. So we just need to avoid that happening all the way around from that standpoint. Let me pull up a checklist here. One of the things we want to give thanks to that makes this show possible is Gregory Ricks and Associates, a total wealth authority, advisors and retirement strategies. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com, Spitali's Deli and Catering. Wes Blanchard of W.J. Blanchard Law, Jude Heath of J. Heath Company CPAs, and Dwayne Stein of MortgageGumbo.com. And JJS Audio and Video.com as well. So appreciate that support out there. If you'd like to become a sponsor of Winning at Life, just reach out to us, info@GregoryRicks.com. Here's a download for you as well to maybe make your life better. Roadmap Beyond Retirement. So we talk about having discussions, and there's going to be a legacy planning guidebook, but I've got this other book, Roadmap Beyond Retirement, which can be a resource for kind of everything and where it's at. If something happens, check here. And it's kind of a guide of that, what happens beyond retirement, if you get where I'm going with that. A great piece there. All you've got to do is reach out to GregoryRicks.com/roadmap. It's a great resource piece. And if you're looking to start having a conversation with grandma, grandpa, aunt or uncle, or mom and dad about what's going on and how things going, this might be a little bit of that guide to help you with from that standpoint. Example of this other piece we're working on, the Legacy Planning Guidebook, Incapacity Emergency Checklist. So, it's personal information record, finances, insurance and bennies, real estate, property, debts, taxes, final expenses, thoughtful contribution of valued belongings. This is kind of helping with, it's not a part of your will, but it's kind of helpful thinking along those lines, that piece that we're putting together as well. Another piece that I had covered a while back, let me see if I have that here. Might take me a minute to find that. Well, I don't have it in front of me at present, but it's something I had covered a few weeks ago to kind of circle back to. I'll look at that maybe on next segment here. Gosh, so many changes each year on IRA rules and so forth there. Here's one of the topics, and I mentioned to you that I was going to speak about this, and it's annuities. There was a caller that called in a little while back and had a discussion, and he basically stated, yeah, I don't like annuities because the money goes away when you die. And that's not quite accurate at all in that case. Now, and let me put that thought in context. And that's basically a scenario where you've taken the annuity. All annuities have this option. Every one of them, whether it's a variable, whether it's a fixed interest annuity, variable annuity, which I don't care for that type of animal at all. Fixed annuity, fixed interest annuity, fixed indexed annuity, all of those have the ability to become a life income payout, which means annuitization to a life income payout, which means it would take that balance, they plug into an interest rate calculator and calculate you a monthly check for the rest of your life. And when you die, the checks end under that type of payout. So in essence, if you died early, the money ends. If we're going to pay out here, and I've never done a life only payout. What I like is if I'm going to do a payout, and we've done this from time to time, using it as an income planning tool. And you can annuitize it with a period certain payout, whether it be 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, or 30-year. What a period certain means is it's going to absolutely pay out for that period of time. So it's either going to pay out to you or a beneficiary. So it is 100% payout. So if you have it pay out like, okay, that's how I want to do my retirement. I want a 30-year period certain. How much do I get a month? Okay, I like that. I want that. And you're going to name a beneficiary. You die year 20, it's going to pay out that additional 10 years to your beneficiary. So the life income only, no period certain, is kind of you die early, it doesn't have to pay out. Period certain, it's 100% payout. So let's dig in deeper on this when we come back from the break. You're listening to Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks. We'll be right back.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
My mother just inherited a couple of annuities. If you could explain the difference between a government pension offset and the windfall elimination provision is.
You now make too much income if you contribute to a Roth IRA.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
You all are so good.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Gumbo Nation, you did it again. Thank you. 10 plus years on air, Mortgage Gumbo Dadcam has grown because of your trust in me as your local preferred lender with all your home loan needs. My recent recognition as a national top lender is awesome, but being your local lender is what matters to me and why I'm so thankful. I promise to continue to earn your trust in making your needs my priority. Visit MortgageGumbo.com.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can hear the Ask Gregory podcast, where you'll find episodes based on a financial topic. So if you're looking for help on a specific situation, there's a good chance you'll find it on the Ask Gregory podcast, including episodes on 401ks, taxes, stocks, Social Security, gold, and whether or not you should buy an RV. Hear the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Half of estate planning is having a plan put together for your loved ones when you pass away. The other half of estate planning is dealing with someone else's plan when they pass away. Sometimes they have a great plan, but sometimes you need a little help. Don't leave your loved ones in a bind. Call me, and we'll make sure you have a plan. Hi, I'm Wes Blanchard, an estate planning attorney in Metairie. What's your plan? Find me at wjblanchardraw.com.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Can you raise your payout on your Social Security after full retirement by continuing working and paying in more? Do you get a raise for that?
Remember, the core thing is Social Security benefits you receive are based on your best 35 years. If you have less than 35 years, those are filled in with zeros. So if you're making more money this year that replaces, say, that first year of the 35, it is inflation adjusted. That will improve your benefit. And they reset that, they recalculate that every year. So even while you're drawing benefits, you could well be incrementally improving your benefits.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Yeah, that's my girl in the passenger seat. Windows down, dancing around, causing a scene. That's my girl, sipping Crown and Sprite, and a ball cap turned back. Ooh, she got me like, yeah, baby girl, you gone and done it again. Making all the guys wishing you were with them, but I bet they don't see.
This is Winning at Life. If you have questions that from topics I bring up on the show, you want more information, telling you we have it. We'll help you with the questions. You simply call the office. The office number is 504-832-9200. And the website is GregoryRicks.com. Email info@GregoryRicks.com, because if sometimes questions come up or you forget about it, thinking, and remember lately, just reach out to us with the question. Or if you're looking for more information on something, or you want to use us as a sounding board, I just suggest please reach out if you're looking for some information or a deeper dive on some of the topics that I bring up, or how would that apply to you. And annuities are a great tool, and it is a great risk-off tool, and there's no better time to have them in your portfolio mix than now, because of the yields and the bond portfolios that support them, that they put together to give you your yield. So it makes it a great tool going forward from that standpoint. And it is a great risk-off tool versus stocks and bonds. And one of the things, if you sit down with us, we'll take you through how the math works, but we like to use that as a base to pay income out from, so that you can avoid negative sequence of returns, because that sequence of return risk is real on utilizing stocks and bonds in your portfolio, because you take distributions from assets that are down. You actually locked in those losses when you took that distribution. And those distributions really should come from a fixed tool side. And that's one reason we like to use those into the mix, because it creates stability. You're never going to take a distribution from a fixed indexed annuity or fixed interest annuity that creates a loss, because it's never going to be at a negative. It cannot be. Your stock portfolio is going to be at losses from time to time. Just like this week, we were nearing record highs, and all of a sudden, a little skirmish, well, maybe not little, but disruption comes and affects it, just like tariffs did earlier in the year. And if you're taking income from that risk asset and it's gone down, you've locked in some losses. You've felt a little pain from that. And we can take you through historicals and help you understand the math of that. And that might be something that even if you're doing it yourself, you're not aware of the impact of that. And you've not done a risk capacity analysis on that. And people think that, well, the more income I take, I've got to be more aggressive. I've got to have more, take on more risk. And actually, it's the opposite. I know it's counterintuitive, but you need to go the other direction is what the math shows, that you actually need to become more conservative. If you're taking less than 4% of assets as your number for retirement income, you technically can be a little more aggressive. But if you're taking more than 4%, you're going to need to move more conservative from that standpoint, because what we're dealing with is what is the probability of success in retirement, because part of what you've got is unknown. So it's a statistical problem. It's a probability of how well are you going to do, how likely are you to succeed. We don't know what future costs are going to be. We don't know how bad inflation might be. We don't know what your spend rate. You've got also one of the things we think about at retirement time is I like to have, I'll define it as a cushion or back end capacity. We might have to spend more than we expect. Do you have the ability to do that? One of the things I look at is for the second survivor, how much money is going to be left for them? Because if it's a couple, one of you is going to die before the other. Hypothetically, let's say it's the guy. So the spouse, the partner, she's there to help him through that, other family members as well, and she can kind of help direct that. He dies, she lives a number of years past that. He's not there to help her on the other end. And it might take more help because she's lived longer, maybe more disability in that time. And it may require outside help because he died a few years ago. So what's that going to do? It's going to cost more. So when we look at how do we look at paying out assets over time, I kind of like to keep some on the back end, knowing it's going to cost more money. We're going to have to spend more for the last of the couple to die is what goes through that. What does that cost? I'll even simplify it in simple terms. We may have to burn through another 100, 200,000 on the back end to have that ability. And I always kind of define it as I want to go out in the lifestyle I'm accustomed to. And that's leading into using financial tools that are protectionary, of have benefits that also cover some of those things. And sometimes when you pick up a fixed indexed annuity, some of those tools can have additional benefits to help with things like that on the back end. But what we need to do is to make sure we don't spend down the assets before you run out. So that's where, when you're having these discussions with us or use us as a sounding board, is this type of discussion of what do we see there? How do we work through that? How do we make sure money's left over? And this is always kind of things that you doing it yourself don't necessarily think about, but we're accustomed to thinking that way because we look at so many plans and they're all different plans. No plan for any couple is ever identical or alike, and we always have to be looking down the road because things are going to change, whether it's market conditions, the tools or opportunities have improved. And we're adapting to that. So that's where when we do that annual set down or mid-year set down, we're looking at what's going on with you, what's changed, what do you see changing in the future, and then we're looking at what are adjustments we're making and what do we see down the road next year, 2 or 3 that we're making on adjustments. But there's a further look that I do, and that it would be, what do things look like 5, 10, 15 years out at this point? Because if we see it 15 years out starting to trend the wrong way, when would you want to know that? I'd want to know it now. I'd like to have known it yesterday, but today knowing it is good. And what adjustments do we need to make? It's no different than you hear me talk about your cash report that you should be looking at every month. How is your money flowing? Is it increasing or is it reducing? And then if it's reducing, the why. Well, you can ask the why on if it's increasing, why, which that's a good thing. Then at some point, what do I do with this extra, this excess that's building up? If it's going the wrong way, you got to get into the why and fix it. Does have expenses gone up or has income gone down? And it's the same type of look from a business standpoint, but you probably should be doing it on a weekly basis in your business, regardless of whether it's a one-person operation or you have 200 employees. I'm telling you, if you have 200 employees, there's a lot more going on that has to be looked at, and people should be paid to be looking at those things so you can stay on top of it. If you're transitioning a business, you've got to have family understand this if they're involved in the business. And then if you've got elders in the family, you need to have these conversations with them. And this kind of started by talking about using the right type of tools to handle risk. And I think annuities should absolutely be considered as tools in there to make sure things don't go wrong. And one of the backstops is you could convert it to period certain payout. How do we normally use that? Rarely. Rarely do we even use period certain payouts. We just take distributions from the account. It is something that's monitored, but it's adjusted because the annuities it's no different than taking distribution from your manager stock accounts. It's something you're planning for over time. Gosh, I got to take a break here. Let's pick this back up, talk about it. If you've got some questions, reach out to me. This is Winning at Life. We'll be right back.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
I have a broker who has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me with some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
What does your ideal retirement look like? Is it traveling the world, fishing whenever you want, spending time with the grandkids, or maybe you don't know yet? Hi, I'm Gregory Ricks. Let us help you plan the retirement you deserve. Give us a call or go to GregoryRicks.com to schedule a visit. We are Gregory Ricks and Associates, the Total Wealth Authority.
The firm provides insurance services, investment, and advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management, LLC, and Gregory Ricks and Associates are not affiliated companies.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live, or you can hear a replay of the latest episode of Winning at Life. Whether you're getting a late start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news, Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
Cancer Crusaders has been raising funds for cancer research in New Orleans since 1978. Cancer Crusaders Incorporated is a non-profit, all-volunteer organization with no administrative overhead. Cancer Crusaders has raised over $5 million for the local cancer research centers, LSU Stanley S. Scott Cancer Center and Tulane Cancer Center in New Orleans, where they are working on a cure for cancer. Get involved, donate, volunteer, or attend a fundraiser. Visit us at cancercrusadersla.org.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you have a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
Fox News, I'm Daria Albinger. A search is on for a gunman who shot two Minnesota state lawmakers and their spouses in their homes, one of the couples fatally.
I assure you that those responsible for this will be held accountable. And each and every one of us are committed to making sure that a tragedy like this never repeats itself in Minnesota or across this country.
Governor Tim Walz will show his support for Israel, which attacked Iran over its growing nuclear program.
We stand by Israel. We stand by their actions. We want peace, of course. That would be the ultimate goal. But sometimes in order to achieve peace, you have to really flex your muscles and show a little strength.
Iowa Senator Joni Ernst speaking to Fox News for the first time since '91. Big military parade tonight in D.C. America's listening to Fox News.
It's a little too loud on the highway. I wanna pull back in your driveway. It's way too quiet at my place. Wanna come on over, come on over. I just wanna hear that.
Winning at Life. This is the back half hour of our 3-hour show. If you've got a financial situation, not sure what to do, need a sounding board, need questions answered, reach out to the office, 504-832-9200, and start a conversation. Email info@gregoryricks.com. You know, one of the neat things, getting to do, I'm blessed, and you're part of that reasoning there is like, just getting to do this show for 15 years for you is really neat things to do, but it's what we get to help with clients and impact lives and change lives and make things better for people, help them win and enlighten them as well. And I'm lucky to be able to be doing this. We've got big decisions to make, and one of them I gave earlier, Roadmap Beyond Retirement, and this is a document guide of helping put together that and information of details that somebody else might need to know one day when you've moved on. And that's GregoryRicks.com/roadmap. Another decision that somebody's going to have to make, and that's when to turn on Social Security. I had a relative call me the other day regarding signing up for Medicare, and he was like, well, when does one do that? I said, well, here's the important date. It's at age 65 if you're not covered by a company plan. If you exit from work post 65, you've got a short period of time to sign up for Medicare. But there's not some dead end date on that if you just keep working and are covered under a company plan. But there's not an early date to turn it on. You're not turning it on before 65. And that's why in retirement, it's such a giant decision of retiring early, because you've got to cover your own health care costs. Social Security is pretty much turning it on as 62 and 67 becoming the FRA, full retirement age number. And ultimately, when you reach 70, if you haven't turned it on, you've got to turn it on then, because otherwise you're leaving money at the Treasury in that case. So I've got a guide, Social Security Decisions Guide, is go to gregoryricks.com/Social Security for more information on that. If you come in for a fit visit with us, that's one of the things we'll do for you. One of the analysis we'll run is a Social Security analysis on both of you of when might be the best time to turn it on and other impacts on that decision. And as clients work with us, we run that for them every year until they both have actually turned on Social Security. And there's so many scenarios. It's not just a clean cut decision. I can spend 3 hours on this topic. As you know, I've done educational events on this topic that have lasted 3 hours. I think it's too long of a sit down to absorb all that. So haven't done them that long in that for a while, but that's really getting into a lot of weeds there on doing that. Let's jump back and talk about exploring the different types of annuities, the payout options there. So, and I've kind of alluded to that, but I've got an article by Stephen Bronner here, and he's discussing some key takeaways on annuity payout options can provide guaranteed income in retirement. You know, one thing I'll compare it to the life income of an annuity, annuitization. It's like your pension at your employer. You take a life-only pension, and it's for your life. A pension, you've got a pension built up, and you take it as a life-only pension. Now, you can do a certain where it's reduced, and the wife can continue it for a period of time or for their life. But that is a reduction in benefits. But then it goes away. If both of you die soon, or you die soon on the life-only pension, guess what? There is no balance left. And that's where some people get into a decision-making process when they have a choice of, do I take a pension or do I take the lump sum? Because that's typically offered now, but it's a discount taking the lump sum on the value. That's comparable to an annuity with a life-only payout or a period certain that pays out the balance to the spouse in that case. So that's kind of a comparison I like to make. But generally, we treat annuities as distribution tools without getting into annuitization. That's such a rare thing. We just take distribution. You know, it might be we'll just distribute 4% of that on an annual basis, but pay it out monthly. Might be an example of it, kind of based on what you need. If you're needing, your assets can handle that. Sometimes we'll lean more of the, so it might be a higher percentage coming out of the annuities as that portion of the assets versus the whole. It might represent 3.5% income stream off the whole assets, but we're It might be 6% of what's covered in the annuities. Why? Because it's a safe, steady distribution bucket versus the market account that's moving up and down. So kind of helping you understand that a little bit. So key takeaways in his article is annuity payout options can provide guaranteed income in retirement. Each payout option has a unique implications for financial security as well as tax obligations. Life expectancy and financial needs play a key role in choosing a payout option. Understanding the pros and cons of each option aids in making informed decisions. And consulting with financial advisors can provide personalized guidance. We have software, abilities, knowledge, and access to annuities that you don't have access to. We have access to strategies that other firms don't have access to, and that's one reason to utilize us as a sounding board or an educational tool, or you might need to use us for some of these things so that you have an overall winning plan. You know, not everybody's car guys or can fix cars themselves or whatever, but I'll tell you, you can say, well, you know, I'm pretty good at mechanicking. I'll just fix my car. Have you opened the hood and see what all's under that? I doubt you have all the access information and tools in your garage to solve everything under the hood. You're probably going to need to go somewhere else at time to get some help. Even if it's a 1974 Trans Am or a 69 Camaro Z28 or a 53 Chevy truck, all those are different periods, and some can be easier because they're more pure mechanical, or are you dealing with a 2009 Mercedes-Benz GLS? It might be a lot more. You pop the hood on one of those, it kind of says, just looking at it says, do not do anything yourself with this car or engine. Yeah, it's just the way it's put together is they don't intend for you to do anything on yourself for that. So each one's different. So when we're looking at building financial plans using financial tools, I can relate it that way because all these situations are different. Sometimes you do need to go to somebody else. You think you're getting it online. You think you're getting it from AI. You think you have the access to everything. You think you have the knowledge. That'd be like you lopped off your thumb and, you know what, I'm going to go Google it and use AI and I'm going to put it back on. Just need some ice and some thread, a few Tylenol. It's not going to work out well, I'm telling you. What you don't need, and here's the thing is, you don't need it to go wrong. And if you die, is your spouse going to pick up where you left off? Are they going to make those decisions? You training them to do it? Or are they going to pick the correct guidance? Maybe you ought to be a part of that too. This is Winning at Life. We'll be back with our final segment.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do, you better call Gregory.
I started my retirement about 5 years ago, and I truly am late in life.
Would I be better to just withdraw the money out of my TSP and pay that mortgage off?
My problem is I have champagne tasting of your salary. What is a balloon note?
Is that cutting it too close?
So will I still be eligible for Medicare?
Is there anything better I can do with the money I transferred into the Roth from my 401k? My goal is to retire at age 60. I'm 54 right now.
Hey, I have a 9-year-old son, and he's got probably $2,500 in. Is there anything we could invest it in?
I just started a 401k a little late in life.
Then I should be like 10%.
Now, how far in advance do you recommend that someone goes to visit the Social Security office?
I won some money in a casino playing poker.
Gregory Ricks and Associates, 504-832-9200 or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Mom, it stinks.
Hush, I'm almost done.
All right, now you're safe from bugs in the backyard. Don't let mosquitoes ruin your outdoor fun. Call Mosquito Joe today. When you call, they come out and they do the spraying. Mosquito Joe's time-release capsule lasts for about a month. No more sticky bug sprays. Take back your backyard. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com. NewOrleans.mosquitojoe.com.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last couple of years.
Learn the ins, outs, do's, don'ts, rules, and tools of the financial world.
Hey, I love your show.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
That's exactly what I needed to know.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
The Ricks Report with Gregory Ricks.
Do you like having your money follow where momentum is? Remember, everything cycles in the markets there, and you've got to have proper asset classes. And how about a tactical approach that follows momentum? And if there's a black swan effect, like maybe a pandemic, and not have to suffer all of that downside move. That might be why you should take a look at the Invest 50-50 philosophy. Why I think, always felt, they're doing it wrong out there. There has to be a better way to help people grow their money and have it positioned to take income from without it being crushed when the markets go down.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks, Saturday mornings at 10 on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Find us on the Winning at Life app or GregoryRicks.com. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
All right, last segment. Winning at Life. Hey, tell a friend about the show. Share it. Look, one of the things I share with folks is to use this as a sounding board. But if you've got a friend, family member, colleague, business associate that's all of a sudden got to make a financial decision, tell them about us. Tell them to reach out to us, GregoryRicks.com, call the office, and use us as a sounding board out there to help them make a better decision. We have a great team of advisors and analysts, as well as service team also. But these advisors and analysts can do a great job at giving people direction. Yeah, it might not work out for us to work together for whatever reason. It's a fit, goes both ways, but we definitely can give direction and guidance going forward. Ultimately, it's your friend, family member, business associate, colleague that's got to make the final decision, but at least they get some grounding there. And hey, I've been, it's the reason I'm here for 15 years helping you with this. A lot of great ideas. Okay, back to annuity payout options, type of annuity payout options. As you've heard me speak about life-only options where you're focused on maximizing your income and are comfortable estimating your life expectancy. This option might be for you. The insurance company will pay you as long as you live with smaller payments. That's a longer time frame. However, as the life-only payout option typically doesn't include a death benefit, it's essentially a gamble. If you die before you receive all of your payouts, the insurance company may keep the rest. On the other hand, you may be paid more than your annuity is worth if you live longer than you expect or they expect. Another option is joint and survivor option. If you want an annuity option that comes with peace of mind that'll take care of a loved one in case of your passing, consider joint and survivor. This option ensures continued payouts to a designated survivor, usually your spouse. If you pass away, the insurer will make the payments for as long as either of you live. Payments under this option are typically smaller than under the life-only payout. So that's a larger payout, the life-only. Now you can also fixed period, or you've heard me refer to as the period certain option, also known as a fixed term annuity or a short-term annuity. This option provides guaranteed payments for a specified period of time, ranging from 5 to 20 years. If you die before the specified period, for example, if there are 5 years left, your designated beneficiary will receive the rest of the money. And then we have life with period certain option. Similar to life only option, this option guarantees payments for as long as you live. There's one notable difference, however. This option includes a minimum period of payout years, typically 10 to 20 years. If you die before the end of this period, your beneficiary will receive payments, the remaining payments. So these options to provide different types of certainty or absolutes there. Here's the last one, lump sum option. With this option, you can elect to receive the entire value of the annuity in one large payment. No surprise, but this comes with repercussions if you have to pay taxes on the whole amount. Here's how we typically do it. So living, and you've got annuities, fixed index or fixed interest. Once again, you know, I don't like the variable type. Why do I need an expensive wrapper for a stock bond portfolio? So just simple as that. So I like the fixed sides or absolutes because we use those as income distribution tools. We rarely annuitize those. So we just take distributions from those accounts, which you can take. What I went over with you is payout periods that all these annuities give you, but you also can simply take distributions, like say send me $500 a month or $1,000 a month, regardless of the value, and it might be an amount that does deplete it, but then we have other things backing that up to start taking money from, or we replenish over assets from the risk side. So we can map out how we structure all of that for you, but we like to take it as an income tool. Now, if you die and you were taking $1,000 a month and you have $200,000 left in that annuity, and you've got your wife named as a beneficiary, and say it's qualified money, it's going to go out as a qualified inherited account to them, and it could stay in that structured annuity for a while or move to one in her name, and she could be taking it out, but that qualified money can stay qualified money and move over. If it's non-qualified money, there could be a taxable event on the gains there. Distributions can be made from that, but within 5 years, we've got to move it to the survivor or beneficiary's name from that stance, but it can then be moved to another annuity or non-qualified account, non-annuity account, and distributions can continue paid for that, all type of situation. That's how we typically handle that. But each scenario is different, and it's a plan for completing the plan long term from that scenario. And this is planned out when we put this together because we are already aware of possible scenarios in the future to make sure that this works out best. So once again, I covered these life with period certain. Lump sum option is probably defined as the option that we most use because that distribution is shifting, that balance is shifting somewhere. It's not going out, and we don't use these life only option, joint and survivor option, fixed period certain. We just don't use those parts, but they're in there and they can be used, and sometimes there's an appropriate time for that to be used. I know that's a lot of information, but that's why I suggest you have a conversation about it. It's something you don't have access to, but it would create a lot of certainty in your plan, especially if you're doing it yourself. What are the tax implications? There's tax implications on the different payouts. Inflation has an effect on payout options as well. What you need is to create a financial plan that's adjustable for how things change, and utilize somebody that can be a sounding board to help you with these ideas, concepts, and what is it you don't know or see coming. Hey, thank you for joining with us today. If we could be of help, reach out to Gregory Ricks and Associates at GregoryRicks.com. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. God bless you all.
Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Gregory Ricks and Associates, Incorporated. AE Wealth Management does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Gregory Ricks and Associates, Incorporated are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio show was intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for a financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Gregory Ricks and Associates is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gregory Ricks and Associates. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including but not limited to a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Neither AE Wealth Management nor advisors providing investment advisory services through AE Wealth Management recommend or facilitate the buying or selling of cryptocurrencies. Third parties and guests of the show are not affiliated with, nor do their opinions reflect those of Gregory Ricks and Associates or AE Wealth Management. AE Wealth Management provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of individual advisors are not necessarily the views of AE Wealth Management. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
WRNO FM, New Orleans, #1 on your presets, in your car, and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good.
Apparent political violence